Story 1. Telling someone to smile or cheer up when you see they are having a bad day can feel frustrating. While they may think they are being nice, it can be aggravating for those who are struggling. Story 2. When someone rearranges your belongings to make them look neater, but now you can't find anything and did not want them moved in the first place. Story 3. A driver waves you out when there is nothing behind them, and you could have gone anyway. However, they have slowed down for you, forcing you to check their intentions and change your plan. Now, it takes everyone longer than if they had just kept going. Story 4. People are giving career advice and encouraging me to open my own practice or go freelance. They have no idea what it takes, and it makes it seem as if I am not being independent because I am lazy or do not trust myself. Story 5. You are a great person and beautiful. Why are you still single? My appearance or charisma has nothing to do with my choice to be single. Story 6. When the car at the front of the line lets the car across the intersection turn left, it is polite, but they do not have the right of way. It drives me crazy. Story 7. When someone is talking to me and gently places their hand on my back, arm, or shoulder, I feel uncomfortable and say, "Don't touch me." Story 8. I am a military veteran. It makes me uncomfortable when people thank me for my service. I never know how to respond. Story 9. Constantly thanking the police and firefighters for their bravery. They chose their job just like anyone else did. Story 10. My parents have a large washer and dryer, so I still take some of my bigger items and laundry with me when I visit. If I've had a particularly challenging week at the hospital, my mom will sneak down while I'm sleeping and do my laundry for me. I'm in my 30s, and it's so sweet of her. I do the same tough job she did, and she just wants me to have the support she never had. It drives me crazy. She uses fabric softener on everything, even my towels. She folds things her way, which doesn't fit in my apartment's limited storage space. She sorts things in an unusual way, and I can never find anything once it's all packed back up. I love her so much and would never say anything, but how can something so trivial be so frustrating? Story 11. When I share a problem I am currently facing and the other person says, "If I can help in any way, just let me know," it sounds nice. However, I feel that the true purpose of this statement is to project a caring image, rather than to offer genuine assistance. For example, if I am unwell and need to manage my child and household over the weekend, a more helpful response would be, "I can cook lunch for you on Saturday and drop it off at your place." Instead, the phrase "let me know if I can help" makes me feel as though I must come up with a specific task for the person, and I worry that they may not enjoy it, may not be skilled at it, or may lack the time or resources to assist. Story 12. Not common, but when someone breaks the unwritten or written rules of the road to facilitate a seemingly courteous gesture. Right of way should be taught to learners. Please do not stop in the middle of the street to let a pedestrian cross unless it is a marked crosswalk or an unconfident child. Story 13. I don't like it when I have something on me, like a bug or lint, and someone touches me. I would prefer if they told me to remove it. If they notice it and let me know they are going to take it off for me, I don't mind as long as I know beforehand. Story 14. When it is your turn at the four-way stop, take your turn. Do not be nice and let someone go ahead. It is not considerate. It holds up everyone as we try to figure out if you are being nice, if we should go, or if you were momentarily distracted by your phone and will suddenly accelerate sharply. You are not helping. Take your turn. Story 15. Agreeing with others out of kindness may prevent many from realizing they can make better decisions. Story 16. People who refuse to make decisions about things because they do not want to seem pushy are being passive-aggressive. Story 17. Dangerous drivers believe they are being polite by stopping to invite pedestrians to cross the road when no one else is stopping. This often blocks the view, making it difficult to see oncoming traffic. I find this incredibly annoying and counterproductive. Just follow the rules and everything will be fine. Story 18. Stopping traffic to let a car or pedestrian go when the normal flow of traffic allows for their turn can create disruptions. While it may seem acceptable during gridlock, it often leads to chaos, causing others to rush and increasing congestion. Story 19. Corporate gifts can sometimes be disappointing, especially when the gifts are generic or not well thought out. While the gesture may be nice, it often leaves recipients with items they do not want, making it feel more like a box-ticking exercise than a meaningful gift. I have observed gifts such as branded keychains, stationery, or clothing. These items usually sit unused in a drawer, as they are not practical outside of work. I once worked for a manager who enjoyed giving flowers and wine to her staff. It soon became clear that several employees did not drink or did not enjoy wine, and the flowers were not well received. We proposed alternative team treats, such as a coffee run, cake or biscuits, or contributions toward a barbecue event that everyone would enjoy. However, she insisted that wine and flowers were what people wanted, suggesting that those who did not appreciate them could simply pass them on. Story 20. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it, but I am tired of the exaltation of the military and other responders. I served out of duty, not for the constant adoration. Story 21. At the public self-checkout, the employee stands in the area in case someone has an issue. When they see your basket is empty, they come and collect it. It startles me, and I can't stand being watched so closely. This is what happens when too many adults can't manage to put things back. Story 22. Costco self-check. I can help scan. Would you like me to assist? Let me scan these items. Story 23. Drivers often try to give me the right-of-way when I'm cycling, especially if I need to cross lanes. They believe they are being friendly and helpful, but this can delay me, themselves, and those behind us in the best-case scenario. In the worst-case scenario, it creates a dangerous situation depending on visibility, traffic volume, and other drivers' reaction times. I appreciate the kindness, as commuting on a bike can be challenging with cars everywhere. However, adhering to basic road rules maintains traffic flow for everyone and prevents numerous dangerous situations. Story 24. When people insist on greeting with, "How are you?" especially when I'm at work as an emergency room nurse, it can be frustrating. I'm trying to ask another nurse for urgent assistance or a doctor a question, and they ignore my request to say, "Hello, how are you?" If I respond with, "I'm fine, can you come help me with this question?" their reply is often, "I'm doing well too. I really don't have time for pleasantries. I have important work to do." Story 25. I am autistic and I dislike things that are considered common social interactions. Asking, "How are you today?" makes me incredibly frustrated. If you want to know me and build a relationship, you have to ask about my opinion on 16th century clowns. I struggle with superficial politeness rules. Story 26. When a colleague messages me with, "Hey, how are you?" before asking me to work on something, I would prefer if they simply asked me to do the task. It feels unnecessary to go through the ritual of saying, "I'm fine, how are you?" every time. Story 27. Casual conversation, especially first thing in the morning at work, is often challenging for me as an introvert. I am not trying to be rude. I simply prefer to focus on the task at hand. Story 28. When a manager overtly compliments your work, I automatically think they are trying to placate me to accept more projects. Story 29. Small talk with strangers can be a challenge. I understand that politeness and manners help maintain civility in our interactions. However, sometimes I prefer to stay focused and move through the line or our destination in peace. I am not inclined to share what I am reading or writing. It puzzles me why some people feel the need to engage when a moment of silence can be equally valuable. Story 30. When you're coughing or choking and someone hits you on the back, it is not helpful at all. In fact, it can be counterproductive. Story 31. Being called ma'am is something I know I should get used to, but I just can't. I would literally prefer "hey you" over "ma'am." Story 32. When people do not yield the right of way, it can disrupt traffic flow. Drive predictably, not just politely. Story 33. Trying to be nice by ceding the right of way while driving could involve encouraging someone to go first at a four-way stop, stopping in the street to let someone pull out in front, or allowing another vehicle to make a left turn across their lane. While the intention may be courteous, right-of-way laws exist to ensure that everyone knows what to expect from one another. Violating these rules, either by taking the right of way when you do not have it or yielding it to someone else when you do, only complicates the situation, making traffic less predictable, less safe, and less efficient. I appreciate the thought, but please just go. It's your turn. Story 34. When people use your name multiple times while speaking to you, it can feel patronizing, even when used outside of trying to get your attention. Story 35. The obsession with holding doors in the South is notable. It's fine if I'm right behind you, but you don't have to wait for me to run across the parking lot. People tend to get very upset if you don't say thank you. This reflects the superficial kindness often experienced in the South. Story 36. When Windows updates forcibly, it takes a long time and often results in no noticeable difference. Meanwhile, these updates gradually reduce your computer's processing speed to the point of becoming useless. Story 37. Although it probably doesn't count, I really don't understand why you have to thank drivers for letting you cross the road. Story 38. Bringing a bouquet of flowers for the host at a dinner party can be thoughtful. However, when I'm cooking for guests, I don't have time to arrange the flowers. If you choose to bring flowers, please consider a single orchid in a pot or something similar. Story 39. It is when someone you briefly know asks if you are okay when you have been devastated. Yes, I understand that you need to ask and cannot just overlook someone crying, but for me, I would rather not hear that insincere courtesy. Sometimes we need some space, and this question from someone you just met invades that space. Story 40. People trying to let you make a turn when you don't have the right of way may have good intentions, but it can lead to dangerous situations. Story 41. This is unusual, but I dislike when people say you're welcome. For example, when someone at work sends me an email with information and I respond with thank you to acknowledge receipt, I find it unnecessary when they reply with you're welcome. Our email traffic is so high at my job, and they were simply doing their job by sending me the information. Why do they feel the need to follow up with you're welcome, as if they did me a big favor? Story 42. People should not give up their right of way in traffic. There are rules of the road, and being kind can introduce unpredictability that may result in accidents. Just proceed when it is your turn to go. Story 43. When I am walking home with headphones in and someone approaches me and says, "Let's walk home together," it annoys me because I am an introvert. Story 44. As a veteran, I dislike the phrase, "Thank you for your service." It was not service. It was hell. So, thank you for paying your taxes. This is the other service that no one considers a service. Story 45. At a restaurant, having dinner with a friend or partner, someone known to one of us, but not to the other, stops by the table and begins a lengthy conversation. I understand the desire to be friendly, but we are trying to eat. It feels awkward to eat while they are chatting, especially as my food is getting cold. A cheerful "have a blessed day" from a staff member. Additionally, the risky act of a car braking in the outside lane for someone entering or attempting to cross the road from a parking lot is concerning. The left lane is flowing freely while the right lane is stopped, creating a dangerous situation. Story 46. When people in cars at stop signs decide it's nice to wait for me to cross, even after I wave them on because I'm walking my dogs and am in no hurry, I want to say just go. You have a car. You could have left the intersection 15 seconds ago. Story 47. I am a woman. In my early 30s, I worked with a man who was excessively chivalrous to his female coworkers, which turned into infantilization. I don't mind if you've been taught to gesture you first when we are getting off an elevator. I appreciate it and will go first. That's fine. But when you block my way and look both ways for me while extending your arm when crossing the street, it feels unnecessary. I have made it this far in life. I literally said, "I've got this," when he was pulling out every chair at a conference for each woman, and he looked at me like I had audacity tattooed across my forehead. It still gives me discomfort 8 years later. Story 48. So, this isn't very common, I would imagine. However, my girlfriend has a peculiar habit that I am not sure is some kind of nervous compulsion. Whenever I have a navigation app open on my phone while driving, she insists on holding my phone, though not directly in my face, but somewhat elevated, pointed at me. I have told her several times that this usually makes it harder for me to see the display, and that she should simply place it back in the phone holder I installed in my car years ago because I can see my phone best from that position. Nevertheless, she prefers it to be held. Next time she is driving, I will bring it up again. Story 49. I had a boyfriend who wouldn't let me open my own doors. I had to wait for him to open my car door, and if I reached a doorway first, I had to stand there and wait for him. I can understand the desire to be kind and open a door for a date, but it wasn't a request. It felt like a demand. If I opened a door by myself or held a door open for him, he would respond with a negative attitude. I don't mind someone opening or holding a door for me, but this behavior felt more like control than kindness. He was also insecure about the fact that I earned more money than he did. Story 50. Have a nice day. Just stop with the virtue signaling. Throughout my life, I was perfectly content with hearing or saying, "Have a nice day." What caused this blessed phrase to become popular? Story 51. Offering me a hand up when I am getting off the floor is actually harder while we are basically just holding hands. This is especially true for martial arts classes where we are supposed to be practicing our tactical stand-ups. Story 52. People merge 400 meters before the two lanes join during road construction, then get very angry when you drive all the way to the front and try to merge as the system is designed to function. Taxpayers have paid for those 400 meters of road to be utilized. Merging too early actually extends the bottleneck way beyond what is necessary. Story 53. Having to say thank you after every bless you following each sneeze is exhausting. I just want to sneeze in peace. Story 54. Joining and talking to me while I am eating lunch alone can be difficult. I may look lonely, but I prefer my 30 minutes uninterrupted. I dislike having conversations while I am chewing. Story 55. Oh, high fives. I dislike them as well as fist bumps. I always have. It's not the physical contact, but rather that they feel awkward, strange, and almost always forced. Story 56. When someone holds the door for you and you are far away, you feel the need to rush so they won't be standing there for an awkwardly long time. Story 57. People in retail or customers interacting with retail staff often exhibit excessive politeness and friendliness. Take pharmacies, for example. Customers come in to fill a prescription, and the pharmacist might say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How did that make you feel?" Meanwhile, I need the medication my doctor prescribed, and I have already waited in line for 15 minutes. In grocery stores, I often hear, "How's the kid? How is the new school? Please move along." There are numerous people waiting, and there's no time for small talk. Story 58. When someone says, "Do you want to underscore instead of, "Can you underscore?" For example, "Do you want to move that closer to here?" I don't want to, but I can if you ask me to. Story 59. Saying "bless you" when someone sneezes is fine, but when they continue sneezing for a long time and people keep repeating it, it drives me crazy. Story 60. There was a student at my middle school who, for whatever reason, never had clean clothes and was known as the stinky kid of our school. He smelled as if he never showered, and there was an apparent lack of parental care. My mother is a teacher, so I always arrived at school very early. This student took the bus and also got to school early. One day, after witnessing him get harassed about being smelly, I asked my mom if we could do something to help. She gave me the okay to offer assistance, and from then on, I would take his uniform home, wash it, and return it to him. I think he only had 2 outfits. At the beginning of each week, we would give him bath supplies. This continued throughout our 7th and 8th grade years. I would always deliver his clothes to him early in the morning to save him any embarrassment. I hope this small act of kindness improved his life in the long run. Story 61. Any prayer offering seems silly to me. God is not going to find a lost kitten for you if he is not helping a starving population. Story 62. My colleagues all work from home. Every morning, they type "morning" in the group chat window. All of them individually. It's pointless and fills the chat with spam, drowning out useful messages from previous days. Story 63. Waving to people who arrive at stop signs after you. I refuse to acknowledge them and simply look away until these disruptors finally drive on. Story 64. I had a roommate who was overly helpful. He constantly asked if he could assist me while I was in the middle of tasks. Then, he would engage in a 10 to 15-minute conversation, interrupting my work. Being proactive and cleaning is beneficial, but stopping someone in the middle of their cleaning is not. Story 65. I work in an office and most of my work is done by email. I dislike sending emails and knowing I will receive a thank you email afterward. I understand they are being courteous, but it's just another email I need to read and delete. Story 66. A driver stopping in the middle of traffic to let you cross the street can create a dangerous situation. Often, the car behind them does not understand why they are stopping and will go around, increasing the risk. As an adult, I am fine waiting a couple of seconds for you and the car behind to pass so I can cross the street safely with no cars around. Story 67. People at the tills look at your name on the store card and call you by your first name as they hand it back to you. Is that polite or just really nosy? It annoys me. Story 68. If I slightly adjust the direction of a car's air vent and the driver asks, "Oh, are you too cold?" they completely change the speed and temperature of the airflow. My small adjustment to the air hitting my face has resulted in an unnecessary overcorrection. Story 69. When the car insists, I walk across the street first. You are bigger, heavier, and faster. Just go. Story 70. The neighborhood where my job is located is one where people do not tend to be in a rush to get anywhere. Traffic rules are often ignored. At a four-way stop, I can arrive 10 seconds after someone else, and as I wait for them to proceed, they will gesture for me to go ahead. This situation is frustrating. If they would just follow the rules of the road, I would have been on my way instead of engaging in this back-and-forth wave as I try to indicate that it's their turn by law, while they believe they are being generous by yielding their turn on an empty road. Story 71. When people I have never met address me by my name to get my attention because they read my name tag, it makes me uncomfortable, although I know they do not mean it that way. Story 72. You are expected to say sorry, excuse me, or pardon me multiple times on your way out of a bus. I understand the pressure, but this situation can become chaotic quickly. There are several people between me and the door, and if I don't reach it in time, the door will shut, the bus will start moving again, and I will either fall onto other passengers or have to walk back to my stop. It feels like I am expected to apologize for simply existing as I rush to the door, maneuvering around people's legs, bags, feet, and bicycles. Story 73. Leaving the last piece of food for whom exactly? The next person eating? The spirit of their ancestors? The unappeased soul of the neighbor's dog? The summer flies? Some of my family members do this. I discovered it when I started living with them again. I took on the role of cooking for the whole family, and at every meal there is this last piece. A scoop of rice, an eggplant chip, a flat of wings, the smallest bunch of bok choy, a pork belly cut, a bite-sized chunk of salmon, a ladle of soup. They would leave it. Why and for whom? I don't know. I called them out for it and would sometimes finish it if they don't. It's frustrating because I don't want to transfer these last pieces to small containers or throw them in the trash. It's wasteful. Story 74. Holding the door for the person behind you, the family behind them, and the couple behind that just wastes time. Story 75. When a stranger, usually a customer at work, says, "Hi, how are you?" and starts their next sentence before you can even respond, I don't ask back anymore. No one actually cares, and it just wastes my time. Story 76. When moms and aunties force-feed you even though you are clearly uncomfortable. Those from South Asia know the struggle. Story 77. When a man rushes ahead of me to hold the door, making me walk under his arm. More entertainingly, when a board game group is trying to figure out what to play, we all defer to everyone else's wishes. There are several ways to handle this common problem. Roll a die to choose among suggested games, ranked voting, or my favorite for one specific group. The first person to express an actual preference, that's what we play. Story 78. That "oh look, we're dancing," and the little jig that comes with it. Like, no, we both step to the left. Now let's not waste our time doing some silly wiggle. Story 79. Holding a door for me, especially if I'm more than 5 feet away, is unnecessary. Let it go. I'll get it myself. I'm ashamed to admit that I can be rude about it and may walk past as if you're crazy to assume I was going into that shop. Stopping your car to let me cross is also annoying. I feel pressured to speed up to accommodate you waiting for me. Unless I am in a crosswalk, please just keep moving. It would be quicker if you continued driving. Thank you anyway. I sometimes give disapproving looks to the well-meaning driver. Related to the previous points, it is very annoying if you stop your car to wave me in, whether it's into a parking lot or a lane. Just keep moving and trust that I'll find my way in. My son once had a minor accident when someone waved him out of a parking lot, and he got hit by a car that was in his blind spot. While it was ultimately his fault, he felt obligated to obey the person who waved him through. Again, I likely will give you an unpleased look. Please just keep going, people. Often things proceed more quickly and smoothly if you don't worry about me. I know I sound harsh, but honestly, my points are valid. Just move along unless the person is right there about to enter behind you or is in a crosswalk. Story 80. Shirts and stickers that say things like, "To the person behind me, you matter." How condescending and dismissive. Story 81. When I do something for a stranger and they thank me, it feels rewarding, even though they do not know I am an atheist. Story 82. When people want to ask for something at work, they often start with pleasantries. Like, "Jack, I don't care about your kids or weekend plans. I prefer not to share anything about my personal life. What do you need? Just get to the point." Story 83. If I am having a moment where I am trying not to cry, and the person I am talking to notices and asks, "Are you okay?" it almost always pushes me over the edge. If you think I am about to cry, please allow me to work through it without prompting me. Otherwise, it will derail the entire situation if I end up breaking down. Story 84. One common but annoying gesture is insisting too much when offering help, such as when someone declines food or assistance, but the other person continues to push. It can feel intrusive, create awkwardness, and ignore personal boundaries. True kindness respects a person's no the first time. Story 85. Flashing headlights at night to say thank you kind of loses its meaning if I can't see afterwards. Story 86. When someone stops traffic to let me turn left without any vehicles behind me, it is one situation if traffic is backed up and you are preventing an intersection from being blocked. However, I prefer not to have this done otherwise because I have no assurance you are not trying to mislead me. Story 87. I dislike when people say, "Bless you," after someone sneezes. I understand it is harmless, but it irritates me every time. Story 88. When people call you out for being the good one in front of everyone else, I have dealt with it all my life. I am not good because I want to be the most perfect child. I am just quiet and shy and do not talk to people. There is literally no need to be called out for being quiet, and honestly, it is rude to put people in the spotlight when they do not ask for it. There is a clear difference between those who take pride and want recognition for everything they do and those who do it because they have to. Teachers have done this throughout school, and recently an old manager at work, who I found out was being fake and spoke negatively about me behind my back. They used the one quiet student to make an example out of the rest of the class. I wish I had more students like Name. They are always so nice and do their work without talking back. Everybody should be more like them. It makes everyone else want to bully you for trying to be good when you were literally just minding your own business. My old manager did this at work in a nursing home. Everyone look at her taking her dirty linen and trash out of the room. That is how you are supposed to do it. You all need to be like her. She does not talk back. She just does her work. Then I would hear her and the other nursing assistants snicker and laugh. It is condescending, and the next time it happens, I will respond differently. Story 89. When someone asks for advice or actionable steps, and others start yelling, "You got this," can be frustrating. It's not helpful, and I would prefer if people remain silent when they are clueless. In groups and online, it makes it difficult to find real advice because you have to sift through a lot of superficial comments that add no value. Additionally, individuals offering advice, especially in business groups, can be problematic if they lack real experience. If you have never run a successful business, your opinion holds little weight. Yet some will defend their stance vehemently, even when struggling to attract clients. Story 90. Drivers are waving me, a pedestrian, to go ahead of them at the crossroads. I've nearly been run over twice by a car behind them driving forward. I won't do it now, and it certainly frustrates them. Story 91. My boss spilled my drink once, yelled at my coworker for it, and then gave me $7 in cash. I appreciated it somewhat, but her saying sorry was all I needed. I would have been happier if she hadn't yelled at anyone. Story 92. When someone says you're welcome for something minor, and the thank you is merely a polite acknowledgement of what was expected by society, it feels like I'm being bolstered by false praise that I was supposed to give. I don't appreciate that perception. I don't take it out on anyone, but since we are in a safe space to discuss it, I wanted to bring it up. Story 93. I moved to an older part of town, a lovely place. When I was out walking my dog, older drivers would stop to let me cross the road. I can't imagine the reaction of the driver behind them. I appreciate the gesture, but seriously. Story 94. For traffic stops occur when people wave others who arrived first to go ahead of them, creating an accident waiting to happen. At a biking trail crossing, cyclists must stop as indicated by signage, but cars often stop anyway. This increases the risk of rear-end collisions and poses dangers to cyclists from vehicles approaching from other directions. Some individuals hold the door for you even when you are not close, forcing you to walk faster to avoid them having to hold it for too long. Story 95. There is a Spanish saying that goes, a ver cuando Dios quiere. It translates to, when the Lord wants to. I cannot express how much that saying annoys me. I understand the kindness behind the words, but I firmly believe in working towards something by helping yourself because we were given the gift of free will. The same people who use that saying then look at my life decisions and wonder why their lives aren't any better. It's because I took action, applied myself, and was not afraid to fail and learn. Story 96. Don't hold a door for me. I'm a grown man, and don't expect me to thank you for it. No one asked you to hold a door for me. I'm a grown man. Story 97. When someone discovers that I am a veteran and expresses gratitude for my service, it often disrupts the flow of the conversation. Story 98. When people offer their condolences for a recent death during a work meeting or in a professional context, I understand they mean well. However, please do not remind me of my grief when I am trying to focus on work. Instead, consider leaving me a card or finding a quiet moment to express your thoughts, rather than doing so in the middle of a meeting. Story 99. People are trying to get me to monetize my craft. I love what I do, and I don't want to monetize it, especially with you as my partner. Please leave me alone, Kath. Story 100. Asking other drivers to turn off their headlights by giving hand signals, especially if the other person is female. Story 101. Constantly being asked, "Are you okay?" after you've expressed repeatedly, "I'm fine," and you actually are fine, you're just tired, etc. Well, now I'm frustrated. Why wouldn't I be? You're irritating me. Story 102. Not sure how much of a problem this is outside of New Jersey, but whenever I'm trying to make a left turn, not at a stop sign or traffic light intersection, I used to appreciate when someone would stop traffic to let me go. The issue is that no one is patient anymore. I almost got into an accident once because a kind person allowed me to make a left turn in my job's parking lot by stopping the flow of traffic. However, the driver behind him didn't want to wait, so he drove around the kind person and almost collided with me as I was turning left. I now see this as an inconvenience and a risk. You can't be nice in New Jersey anymore. Story 103. Holding open the door when I am about 50 yards away does not help either of us. Now you are stuck waiting while I rush to get to the door. Story 104. People sending thank you emails at work. Let's try to keep the volume down. I don't need an alert for this. Story 105. When a car with no one behind it stops for me at a crosswalk while I'm not fully in the street yet, we could both keep moving at the same pace without having to wait for each other. Now I'm just running across the street because I feel like a burden. Story 106. People say, "Have a blessed day." It really bothers me. Perhaps it's because I am a victim of religious abuse. but one person's blessing can be another person's curse. Not to mention, it feels quite presumptuous. Story 107. As someone who receives hundreds of work emails every day, I appreciate the sentiment of someone replying back with a thank you for a resolved email thread. However, please do not send me another email. Story 108. When people ask how you are when they really do not care, I always end up answering honestly and then remember it is just a social nicety. I awkwardly respond by asking, "And how are you?" Story 109. When people wave me to go while driving, despite having the right of way or when I already have the right of way, it can be frustrating. Just follow the rules of the road. Additionally, please don't stop traffic to let me walk across the street. I can wait until it is safe to do so. Story 110. Telling me I would look better with a smile. Really? I'm missing teeth. I'm pretty and I'm fine just the way I look. Story 111. When someone stops their car to let me cross, I know they are being courteous, but I really feel the pressure. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.